This episode of Cinemajaw is sponsored by Overcast. They are an independent podcast app that embraces the open world of podcasting instead of locking it down. No exclusives, no premium content, no paywalls. Just a great podcast app for everyone, and we could all use a little bit of that right now. Find it for free in the App Store, and we thank them for their support. Cinemajaw is also brought to you by Jiffy On Demand, and the Jiffy On Demand has a special message for everyone. They want to say that they hope everyone stays safe and take measures to do so, but broken things can still pop up around the house. Toilets and sinks can get backed up, washing machines break, gutters clog this time of year, etc. If you need help, Jiffy will be available. Their pros have all been advised to practice safe protocols like washing hands before and after jobs, sanitizing equipment, and outdoor jobs can still be done without any interaction with another person. Jiffy prides itself on being paperless. So if you want your lawn done, your roof fixed, or your exterior windows washed, or your walkway power washed, then all you need to do is put it in the app and communicate with your pro. And get this, guys. Jiffy is upping the ante. The code Cinemajaw is now worth $50. Jiffy isn't going to save the world, but if they can make it so JawHeads have an extra $50 in their pockets during this time, they want to do that. So use the code Cinemajaw and save $50 for your emergency work you might have to do around the house during all of this. And we thank them for their support. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from our respective homes in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Ride the Movie Guy, and Pat is nowhere to be found. It is just Matt Kay and Ride the Movie Guy this week.
Well, Pat's at his house. He's fine, everybody. He's doing okay. Texted me today, so he's good.
Yes. Due to the coronavirus, we are continuing on the Jaw, but we are doing it, as Matt said, from our houses via Skype. So the sound quality that you are used to, JawHeads, is probably going to be a little bit different, but we wanted to get something recorded, give the Jaw out to the JawHeads to get their mind off of all the craziness that's been going on in the world right now.
Yeah, if you guys are anything like me, I think we can all use a little distraction. Let's just think about some movies and talk about the stuff we love and enjoy that for a bit.
The studio we'd normally record at has been closed.
Yeah, let's get this out of the way. I guess we should give a little update of everything that's going on, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're more or less in shutdown here in Chicago.
Yeah. It's not like a shelter-in-place thing yet. I'm sure that's probably coming down the pipe pretty soon. Bars and restaurants are closed. Movie theaters are closed. But life goes on. Doing a makeshift homeschool and watching some movies when we can. We just watched Moana for the 800th time today.
It doesn't sound like you get a pick on the movies. It's probably your kids making that choice, huh?
Yeah, it is, but I'm letting them get those out of the way, and then I'm going to start suggesting some classics. Like I saw Sandbox on, or Sandlot, rather, that baseball kids movie on Disney Plus. So I'm going to suggest that in the near future. It's a classic.
Nice. Well, we thought this week, JawHeads, because me and Matt, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this podcast are inside, and that's the way we're supposed to be. Social distancing is the phrase. We're supposed to be in sort of a lockdown mode. We thought this is a good time to do our top 5 hidden gems that are streaming right now. And we didn't hold this to just Netflix. We did this to all streaming services. So it's just hidden gems. We researched which movies are out there, either on Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Hulu, you name it. As long as it's on one of those streaming services and a film that we think a lot of people have missed, should seek out, and will be entertained by, we put it on our top 5 list.
That's right, we did. And we have a review for you guys of Lost Girls, which is also streaming right now on Netflix.
That's good. Plus, since there's no guest and we don't have Pat with us, I didn't think we could play trivia, but I wanted to have some sort of game show segment at the end, so we will be playing Stump Matt K. We got 3 questions to try to stump Matt K.
That'll be the shortest Cinemajaw segment of all time. 3 questions. Let's see if you could do it in 1.
They're tough questions, so we'll see how you do.
All right. I've been getting better. I've been getting better at trivia.
Yeah, not to mention some Hollywood headlines for you as well. And let's start with some feedback, Matt, because I think that addresses the situation of where Cinemajaw is at right now.
All right. This one comes from Aaron Schmelling, who wrote in to ask, Cinemajaw, so what is the future of this podcast and the future of movies with this coronavirus? I mean, that's the question. As far as the podcast goes, here we are. We're doing it, right? I mean, that's the plan in the near future, to continue to do it via Skype. I don't see why we wouldn't. Hopefully add a little levity and entertainment to your lives while this is going on. And as far as the movies go, we got something to tell you in Hollywood headlines. That's some good news, actually. But I know that Disney Plus has been releasing films early. There's been news of that, like Frozen 2 and the new Trolls movie are both currently streaming. And I know a lot of movies have halted production, but it'll get back to normal.
I agree. I mean, this is going to be a weird time, I think, for the next several months. And we'll see a lot of pushback, a lot of delays. And we're going to talk about it again in Hollywood headlines, like you mentioned. But as far as the podcast goes, you're right. For the next couple of weeks, we'll be doing it via Skype. Nothing stops the jaw, Matt.
No, nothing should.
Stops the jaw.
Actually, to be completely honest, break character a little bit. It's nice to have this to do. So if anybody out there is a creator and does this kind of thing, whether it's on YouTube or you have your own podcast or whatever, keep doing it, because the people that listen to you will appreciate it. And just doing it is a lot of fun and therapeutic.
I agree. I was looking forward to this as we were getting ready tonight, and I thought, yeah, this is going to feel good to talk to Matt Kay about some movies.
It does. It does feel good, right? Do we got more feedback?
Yeah, we do. Also, Tyler DeSoto via Twitter shot us a tweet, and this was in regards to when we did our top 5 list on best movie brothers. And he wrote in, he said, I'm sure my followers are tired of hearing me talk about this movie, but how can we talk about brother movies and not mention Sing Street? John Kearney literally dedicated it to brothers everywhere. I discovered this film on Ryan's recommendation about 6 months after moving states away from my hometown, and it never fails to make me both cry and really miss my brothers. Plus, it's one of my favorite films of all time. I wrote back to Tyler on Twitter. I said, oh my goodness, what a great call. This isn't like I missed it and this should have been mentioned at like number 5. This is probably a number 1 film. And he's right. The end of the film actually says dedicated to brothers everywhere. It is all about brotherhood and having that older brother that's looking out for you, makes sacrifices for you, wants to see you realize your dream. Completely missed this one in my research, but I love Sing Street. Great call, Tyler.
Nice. I think that's all the feedback we had, Rye.
It is. The one last thing we have to do before we get to our review is finally announce the winner of our first riddle of the year, Matt Kay. Recap the riddle for the JawHeads.
The riddle is, I am almost as ancient as the relics I used to dig. I have loved a princess, a bartender, one who works, and one who may not have been real. I was a swinger before Austin Powers, but I settled down with somebody who had dancing babies. You'll never catch me. Who am I?
This was a difficult riddle, I think, for our first riddle. We did get some correct answers. Matt, you wrote this one. Break down the riddle for us.
Sure. Almost as ancient as the relics I used to dig is in reference to his role as Indiana Jones. He has loved Princess Leia, a bartender in the same movie, Indiana Jones. The bartender was Marion. One who works was Melanie Griffith in Working Girl. And one who may not have been real is in reference to his android lover in Blade Runner. I was a swinger before Austin Powers, another callback to the Indiana Jones role. But I settled down with someone who had dancing babies, a reference to Callista Flockhart, his real-life wife, and the dancing babies were a big part of Ally McBeal, the work she's perhaps best known for. You'll never catch me, because he is the fugitive Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford was the answer to our first riddle of the year. Heard from many responses. I dip my hand into the Cinemajaw hat here, Matt, and I pull out a winner, and the winner is Megan Varick from Appleton, Wisconsin.
Oh,
Heard from
nice.
Megan
Appleton.
before. I think this is the first time she's won a riddle, though. So congratulations, Megan. I'm going to say this now, Megan. I'm not venturing out to the post office to mail out a prize pack anytime soon. So we'll get in touch with you. Write us feedback@cinemajaw.com, and we'll coordinate something. It might be a little bit of a delay before we get that in the mail, but we'll get it out there.
Yeah, we will. We're good for it, Megan.
On to our review here, Matt K.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself some serial killer expert, but usually I hear of notable cases in the news. I must say, I had never heard of the Long Island serial killer before watching the new Netflix movie Lost Girls. The film stars Amy Ryan, Thomasin McKenzie, and Gabriel Byrne, and tells the story of a mother who pushes authorities to find her missing daughter, which leads them to discovering more than they were expecting. Matt and I grabbed a seat on the couch to check this one out.
This is my daughter, Shannon Maria Gilbert. There's one here for every day that she's missing.
What was she doing in a gated community, 100 miles away from home in the middle of the night?
My daughter didn't run away. She's missing. Her last contact with anyone was to 911. What happened?
I'm just a driver. I wait in my car, and that's all I do.
Honestly, who spends this much time looking for a missing hooker? While searching for a missing girl, one of our officers located 4 bodies.
What's over there? Tell me right now, damn it! What did you find?
It's not your daughter, Mrs. Gilbert, which is why it's important that you don't talk to the media.
The film opens with a frightening image, a young girl running from a car in the dark. Only the headlights of the car illuminate the area. Who is she running from, and where can she go for help? It all looks so bleak. We return to the scene again later in the film, but it is the only one that shows Shannon Gilbert, a 24-year-old girl who was working as an escort on Craigslist that went missing in May of 2010. The film's central character is Shannon's mother, Marie, who is played by Amy Ryan. Marie was expecting Shannon to come over for dinner one night, but she never showed up. At first, she doesn't see much reason for concern. However, her other daughter and Shannon's younger sister, Sherry, played by Thomasin McKenzie, does start to worry and begin trying to call. These calls go straight to voicemail. And after a few days with no contact, Marie reaches out to authorities to help in this missing persons case. The fact that Shannon was an escort seems to list her case as low priority. Seeing this, Marie starts to become vocal. She wants her daughter found. Brace yourself, guys. Amy Ryan yells a lot in this movie. What I was hoping for going in was something along the lines of Zodiac, and I mean that tone-wise. I don't think it was going to match the quality of that masterpiece, but I wanted to feel the dread that the serial killer was still among us. I did not get that. Matt, did you know about this serial killer before viewing Lost Girls? And how drawn into the story were you?
No, I did not know about this case. And I wouldn't call myself a serial killer expert either, Ryan, but I've, delved into some true crime here and there. And no, completely went into this thing blind. And that's a good thing in most cases. I was actually quite drawn in by the story, the tone, the atmosphere, the pulpiness, and the New England vibes were great. I knew so little, I didn't even know this was true crime when I fired it up. So the actors were also great, and it was a lot of fun to see Gabriel Byrne pop up. And I swear nobody wears a pea coat and a suit better than that guy. I mentioned I went in blind, in that I didn't know it was true crime. And just like most true crime movies, Ryan, it fell apart in the third act. Seriously, Unsolved Mysteries was a great TV show, but another way of saying unsolved mysteries is stories that don't have an ending. Blah. All the mystery and intrigue that is built in the first 2 acts, all the relationships that are built are washed away in one year later title card, and it felt like a cheat. I did go down the rabbit hole on the real life events, and the movie did recant them fairly accurately, but even the actual IRL case left me unsatisfied. I mean, it's not that scintillating, I guess, I mean, I'm not making light of murder, but it wasn't that much of an intrigue case. I applaud the movie for casting light onto the abuse and murder of sex workers, something that is sadly often ignored as part of the risks they must face. But even that is a bit flat by the third act of this movie. It was okay, I guess. Good tone, good acting, crappy ending. Rye, what do you think? Could this movie have been rescued by a better wrap-up?
I agree with you. The third act is weak, but even before that, I think the tone of the movie, as I had mentioned, Zodiac being a film where that dread is hanging over the head of all the characters going in. I like the idea that Amy Ryan's character, who plays the mother here, goes out there with their other daughters to Long Island and out to this gated community that was getting some of the escorts. This is where they more or less figured out probably the killer was, but they didn't know exactly who, and it's a large area. But I like that idea of going out there, but I never felt that dread exactly. And yes, you're giving credit for Gabriel Byrne wearing a coat very nicely.
Yeah, he does.
But he's got low energy. Someone needed to actually shock him with like a bolt of lightning, remind him that he's in a movie. I swear to God, at some point they should have been like, Gabriel, wake up. We're shooting here. Let's go.
I agree. I mean, it was like a glorified cameo. I just liked seeing him, and boy, can he rock a pea coat, man. He looked fantastic. I don't think I have as much trouble with the tone as you, maybe because I was not expecting it to be Zodiac. I went in just not knowing what to expect. I knew it was about sex workers who were murdered and a mom searching for her daughter, and that's all I knew. I didn't know it was a true crime thing. So I liked it. I liked the fact that it was set in New England. I thought the locations were pretty cool. And I did learn about a case that I had not known about.
I did like Amy Ryan's performance. She does yell a lot. And I hate that a lot of times where they're just trying to emphasize something very important. You know, this is my daughter. She's yelling constantly. You know who actually had trouble here was Thomasin McKenzie, who I thought her performance was great, but I think she had a very difficult time with the New York accent.
Oh, yes. Wow, I'm glad you brought that up, actually, dude. She just, having spoken to her in real life, having had the pleasure of speaking to her in real life, she's got this really soft-spoken, almost I would say a tiny voice, and it's very New Zealand, and her accent is a pretty thick New Zealand accent. I think she did really well in Leave No Trace with the Pacific Northwestern accent, but New York is a whole different animal, and yeah, dude, she didn't even come close. It just doesn't fit her cadence, I think. Yes, It was off. I noticed that too.
Yeah, and I don't know if it would have been as distracting if we hadn't had the chance to interview her, because you're right, we got a chance to talk to her in person, and it was very much like, oh, this is not her voice at all. I don't know what she's going for here, trying to get that New York accent. Very difficult. I didn't like how the mother was everywhere. So this is in regards to making the plot rather easy. So whenever something big was happening in the case, as far as the actual cops solving something, Amy Ryan's there. And I can't stand that. Like, how realistic is that really going to be? So they're clearing a marsh, looking for maybe remains. Amy Ryan's there with the cops at the crime scene. It doesn't happen that way. I think they did something a little bit smarter there.
Maybe. She sort of bullied her way into the investigation, though. So I think that she, at least in the context of the movie, developed a relationship with the cops. That didn't throw me off too much either. I noticed it, but I was willing to forgive it. It
is pretty crazy that the case is still not solved as of this podcast recording.
Yeah, and it's a pretty fresh case. I mean, 2011 or maybe even later than that, there was still some activity on this case. So I hope that it does get solved and the murderers brought to justice. Maybe this movie will help.
Yeah, we had on E-Man, and we were talking about Spencer Confidential, and me and you had split on that one. But he said something very interesting with these Netflix movies. He summed it up with, if I went to the theater, I would have been disappointed with Spencer Confidential. That's exactly almost how I feel with Lost Girls. If I had gone out, paid money, and saw this at the theater, I would have been disappointed. But walking into my little screening room that I have set up and hitting play on Netflix, I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I thought it was fine too.
Give me a movie poster quote, Matt.
All right. In case you were wondering, Lost Girls is not the gender flip vampire movie you thought it might be.
That's a winner.
All right.
That's a winner.
What do you got?
But I don't even have one after that. I went with Lost Girls digs up the story of the Long Island serial killer.
That's not bad. It's a little on the nose, but it's not bad. So
it is.
How many Jaws are you giving this?
I went 2 Jaws, Matt K.
That's exactly where I'm at with this. It's 2 Jaws. This is not a terrible movie. You will not wish you had your time back. It's a perfectly passable movie that's kind of middle of the road.
2 Jaws for Matt K. 2 Jaws for Rye the Movie Guy on Lost Girls. If you see this movie on Netflix, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw or write us an email, feedback@cinemajaw.com. There are a lot of hidden gems out on the streaming services. There's so many streaming services and so many movies on these that sometimes you don't know what to watch. So that is our goal this week, Matt K. Give the JawHeads 10 movies, 10 hidden gems that they can watch right now in the comfort of their homes. What do you got sitting at number 5?
Okay, so I have 10 movies. So if we cross over at any point, I can sub one in because I think all 10 are worth watching, and I'm going to mention them all as honorables by the end of this. It was difficult for me to get this list started, but once I did and kind of understood how to think about it, it cascaded. I could have gone for 20, honestly. So I'm going to start at number 10 with a Taika Waititi movie that is sort of the movie that introduced me to him. I'm sure a lot of the Jawheads will have heard of it, but it is something that I think a lot of people missed and should absolutely see, and it is called What We Do in Shadows. It's a comedy about vampire flatmates. That's pretty much all I'm going to say. It's shot in a mockumentary style. If you have not seen this thing, you need to do yourself a favor and watch it immediately.
Yes, that is a great pick. I don't know anybody who would watch that and not laugh. It's one of those that you can say that about. Everybody's going to enjoy that movie to some degree.
Yeah, and I believe it's on Netflix. I forgot the note on that one, but all the others I have the exact service it's on. Easy enough to Google and find out, but it is available on stream right now.
Nice. My number 5 pick is actually a movie from last year. It's come up on the show a couple of times. One was way back in our summer movie preview. We're anticipating this movie. There was delays with it. We never got around to officially reviewing it on the show. I caught up with it because it is streaming on Amazon Prime, and it's on Amazon Prime right now. It is entitled Under the Silver Lake.
Oh, yeah. I've been wanting to watch this.
It is so good. It is directed by David Robert Mitchell, who had directed It Follows, which was his debut, his directorial debut, and everybody was excited for this follow-up, and it took a long time, and it finally came out. This film stars Andrew Garfield, who plays a guy, obviously right around 30 years old, who sees a girl, and he almost becomes infatuated with her right away, who's swimming in a pool in his apartment complex. And when she goes missing, he embarks on a surreal quest around the city of Los Angeles. I called it a stoner noir. It's a messy masterpiece is another phrase I use. It's an interesting film that has many elements to like here. The sets and locations they go to are enthralling. I loved it. I hope more people see it because it's one of those films that you see and you want to sort of talk about and I think recommend to your friends. Under the Silver Lake on Amazon Prime.
Nice. All right. For my number 4 pick, Ryan, I'm throwing it all the way back to 1971. This film stars Angela Lansbury. All right. And it is on Disney Plus right now. A children's classic, a movie I watched again and again and again. Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
I have never seen this.
Right, exactly. There are so many, but you've heard the term bippity boppity boo, right?
Sure.
That's where it comes from. This movie. There's some wonderful songs. It got kind of lost. It's the poor man's Mary Poppins, I guess, in a way. Angela Lansbury plays like a witch, and there's a magic bed knob that when you put it on the bed and screw it onto the the 4-poster, it can take you to wherever you want to go. And these 4 kids that she's with go to this fantastical land where there's all these Disney animated creatures. Like there's a lion, there's all these different like animals, talking animals. It's a really weird, trippy movie with a lot of sing-songy stuff, and I absolutely love Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Wow. I'll check that one out. Actually, I'm going to write that one down in the journal.
If you're in the mood for a Disney classic that you have not seen before, this is one worth checking out.
Yeah, I have an Angela Lansbury kick going right now, so I'll check it out.
Yeah, add that to the top of the Angela Lansbury list. All right, what do you got there?
Man. All right, I jump over to Netflix for my number 4. This is a Netflix original, and we know that they have been making a lot of noise with some of their original films. So this one came out in 2017, seemed to just fly under the radar. Wasn't like a big release, and I think a lot of people skipped it. But it's based on a Stephen King novella. The film is entitled 1922. Have you seen this one?
No, I haven't. Stephen King, though, huh? That's intriguing.
Yeah, based on a Stephen King, 1922, and it stars your buddy, Matt, Thomas Jane.
Okay, yeah, I know Thomas Jane.
Right. Yeah, so Thomas Jane plays a farmer in the year 1922 that decides to kill his wife, and he gets help from his teenage son to do this as well. And basically the story is how guilt comes back to him in the form of ghosts and visions, not to mention a lot of rats. And this is a slow burn. It's a short story by Stephen King, so it's probably a little bit stretched out. You can feel that. But a couple of images in this film really got to me. It was like that kind of like gagging reflex that I'll get every once in a while when I'm grossed out or just stunned when something's coming out of a character's mouth that shouldn't be. And I've never seen a rat be stomped on in such a vicious way that got me to look away from the screen. So well done on that. 1922. It's a slow burn. It's a creeper, though. Check it out.
Well, podcasting with you for a decade, I'm used to something coming out of characters' mouths that shouldn't be. Hey, listen, I'm going to cheat a little for my number 3, but you'll have to forgive me. I think that this is technically a series from Netflix, but it is very cinematic, and it's really just a very long movie. And if you wanted to see something that's a good true crime story, this is one of the best documentaries that I don't think enough people saw last year. It is called Don't Fuck with Cats, Hunting an Internet Killer. And it just grabs you. This story is so weird. It has so many layers and twists and turns. There's internet groups on Facebook that are cat lovers that get involved with hunting a serial killer across international lines. This guy goes to France. He goes to Germany. He comes back to America. They're warning the police and the FBI that he's going to kill a person because he sort of starts by murdering cats online, which is reprehensible to everyone, but especially to these people on the internet. And it's just a great whodunit hunting a serial killer. And by the end, the cool thing about, have you seen this one, Ryan?
I have not watched it yet.
Okay.
I do know it, though.
By the end, it sort of implicates the viewer. And I'll leave it there. I don't want to spoil anything, but part of what fuels this serial killer is attention. So I'll just leave it right there. This one is a crazy, crazy watch.
Yeah, I heard some good things. I've heard other people talk about it, so I will catch up with that one. My number 3 pick is on Amazon Prime. This one came out in 2018, and it's a French film, but I don't want that to scare anybody away as far as like subtitles go, because there isn't a lot of dialogue in this movie. The film is entitled Climax, and it actually deals with.
Oh, I saw that last night. Sorry, ba-doom.
Yeah, what a bad joke. This movie actually deals with members of a dance troupe that are lured into an empty school. And when they're there, they end up getting drugged, drinking like sangria that's drugged. Mm-hmm. And the whole idea is that obviously they're this dance troupe, so they start doing this like rehearsal. And the dance becomes so dark and like and nightmarish, if you will. It's absolutely crazy. So it's sort of mesmerizing in the sense of the dance is in a way beautiful too. I don't want to say that you're not mesmerized by how good the dancing is, but it actually becomes scary, and then it becomes these characters trying to survive for their life, and then ultimately find out who's responsible for it. It's visually haunting in a way that I've never seen before. Like I say, the dance sequences are amazing and freaky at the same time, and that's tough to pull off. Highly recommend checking out Climax, something completely different than you haven't seen before.
I will definitely check that one out. That was on my list, man. I remember seeing the trailer for that and just thinking, whoa. It kind of reminded me of Suspiria. So
it's got a little of that in there, sure.
I want to check that one out. All right, I'm going all the way back for my number 2 to 1986. I'm sorry, 1984, Ryan. Alex Cox, who directed Sid and Nancy, directed another film that starred Harry Dean Stanton and Emilio Estevez. One of my favorite movies of all time, Repo Man.
Oh, man, not another Repo Man.
I've been talking about this movie for so long. Have you ever seen it?
Still haven't seen it.
Dude, what's wrong with you? The cool thing about... All right, it's a punk rock movie, first of all, so that makes sense right away. They show no brand labels. They made all their own brand labels. So every time they walk by a store or they go into a gas station, all the things on the shelves are these blue and white labels. They're very distinctive. And if you want to catch a glimpse of what I'm talking about, you can watch the Suicidal Tendencies video for Institutionalized, and you'll see them drinking some Repo Man beer. But this movie's infinitely quotable. Who's the guy that plays Bob in the original Batman movie, the Tim Burton one? Bob, you're my number one guy.
That's sure.
Yeah, where's Pat when we need him? Oh, man. I'll look it up. I'll look it up in the break and come back with it.
Robert Hawkins.
This is probably his best role, Repo Man.
Did you hear me, Robert Hawkins?
Yeah.
For my number 2, we go to Amazon Prime, actually, again. This one came out in 2018, directed by Paul Feig, who had done Bridesmaids. And I looked this one up. It did have a box office gross of $50 million, which is pretty significant. But I think a lot of people also passed on this one, and they should not. In doing the research for this list, Matt K., I came across this movie, and I ended up watching it last night because I skipped it. And so I just watched it, and I can report it's fantastic. The movie is A Simple Favor. It stars Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively, and Anna Kendrick plays the perky, perfect character we've come to know. This time, a single mom who is asked to look after Blake Lively's son. Their sons are friends at school. But it turns out Blake Lively's character goes missing while Anna Kendrick is watching her son. It's a dark comedy. It's funny, but then it turns sinister and suspenseful with a mystery to it. I had a blast watching this thing unfold. I don't know if it necessarily sticks to landing, but boy, this film had fun trying to do just that. A Simple Favor. Enjoyed the hell out of it.
That's a good one, man. Yeah, check that one out. That brings it over to my number 1. And so my brother is a huge Adam Sandler fan. Like, he owns all of his movies, for better or for worse, on DVD and watches them, even the bad ones. And I keep trying to tell him, this is not good stuff. But he's a diehard. But nevertheless, completely unaware of the gem that is currently streaming on Netflix. I believe it is a Netflix original movie. I could be wrong about that. You'll have to correct me, Ryan. The Meyerowitz Stories. Is that one a Netflix original?
I believe it is, yes, a Netflix original.
So we got Dustin Hoffman, Adam Sandler, Ben Stiller, and cadre cast from there. It's just an amazing movie that is way underrated, undersung, one of Adam Sandler's best. I mean, everybody's talking about his performance in Uncut Gems, but this one is way overlooked. And it's not just an Adam Sandler movie, don't get me wrong. He's a big part of it, but the whole cast is phenomenal. I think it was wacky, it was whimsical, it was fun, and damn good movie that not a lot of people saw.
I agree with you. Whenever Adam Sandler takes a right turn and doesn't do his normal Adam Sandler, shtick, and
Yeah.
he's in something that is more based on like a large cast and the director and the writer, and it's not a quote unquote typical Adam Sandler movie. It seems like those Adam Sandler diehards don't even know it exists.
Right. Well, I think a lot of them were, into Uncut Gems, like saying, "Oh, see, like Adam Sandler can act." And I'm saying to them, you need to check out the Meyerowitz stories. And also, it's Noah Baumbach, who I know you're a big fan of, Ryan. So
Sure. I had a Noah Baumbach honorable mention that we'll get to as well. But for my number one, coming off of Parasite winning Best Picture, a lot of people probably opening their eyes to some more foreign films. I know our jawheads are always watching them, but I think they may have missed this one. And it actually was on the top 10 list of Brian Tallarico back in 2018 when this movie came out. It comes to us from Japan. The movie is Shoplifters, and it's streaming right now on Hulu. And this movie is about a group of people who we meet. They seem like a close family. The father and son are shoplifting items to stay afloat, and they also receive money from an older lady who's getting a pension. All of this seems relatively normal, but it just gets crazier from there. And one day, they actually are coming home and they see a young girl locked out, and they take her in because she's out on the street. And then they realize that she's actually being abused at home. So they decide to keep this young girl, and make her like a daughter in the family. And things just get crazier from there, and more revelations of exactly everybody's relationship that we've met comes under the microscope. Powerful story that makes you think what the word family means. I promise, tears at the end of this one. Big fan. Shoplifters.
yeah, this one's kind of disturbing, right? It's got like some really odd things going on.
There's some odd things, but I wouldn't say completely disturbing. It's sad, and like I say, it makes you think exactly what family, the word family means.
Okay. What about you want to do some honorables real quick?
So I've been talking about Bone Tomahawk for a long time. It's a crazy Western. It's on Amazon Prime. No reason not to watch it. And it mentions something on Disney Plus. For me, I went with a Danny Boyle film that never gets mentioned, entitled Millions. Good film there. And then Noah Baumbach, as you're mentioning, we like to see some of his other works that aren't as notable. While We're Young is streaming on Netflix, and also the movie Obvious Child, also on Netflix. Recommend all those.
Nice. I got Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It's on Netflix. I talk about it way too much. Free Solo. It's on Disney Plus and Hulu. If you missed that last year, you need to check it out. It's an amazing documentary. The Brave Little Toaster is on Disney Plus, dude. Have you ever seen that?
You've brought this up. I got to check out this one.
Yes, you do. It's a good hidden gem. At Eternity's Gate on Netflix, Willem Dafoe plays Vincent van Gogh. So if that doesn't intrigue you,
it's one I still got to catch up with. So thanks for the reminder to check that one out.
Absolutely.
All right, Jawheads, those were some of our hidden gems. If you have a recommendation for other Jawheads out there that we may have missed, go ahead and email us, feedback@cinemajaw.com. We'll throw it out there on Twitter and on Facebook for other recommendations for Jawheads. Listen, we're all trapped inside, and we need to get through this together, and movies help us get through these times. So recommendations aplenty. Bring them on, guys. What we're going to do is take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have some Hollywood headlines plus a brand new segment, never before in the history of Cinemajaw. Stump Matt K. Stick with us.
Jawheads, Matt K. As we continue with Pixar Month here at Cinemajaw, we bring you this fact which comes from Mental Floss and their 22 Facts About Your Favorite Pixar Movies article. We recommend you check that whole article out. This is the fact. The station agent inspired Up. Who would have thought a Peter Dinklage-led indie movie would have inspired one of Pixar's most celebrated films? We looked at how other people have dealt with the subject matter, the director told Movie Retriever. We looked at The Station Agent, a great, simple, character-based story of a guy who's much like Carl, who comes out of his shell. Casablanca is a similar kind of story. Movies that had beautiful simplicity to them and a focus on character. How's that for a fact?
We continue our celebration of Pixar with one of my favorite scenes from the 2003 classic Finding Nemo. Here, Marlin, voiced by Albert Brooks, has a little talk with the sea turtle Crush, who was voiced by the film's director and Pixar genius Andrew Stanton, while they ride the EAC.
Dude. Focus, dude. Dude. Oh, he lives. Hey, dude!
Oh, what happened?
Oh, I saw the whole thing, dude. First you were all like, whoa! And then we were like, whoa! And then you were like, whoa.
What are you talking about?
You, Minnie Man, taking on the jellies. You got serious thrill issues, dude.
Oh.
Awesome.
Oh, my stomach.
Oh, man. Hey, no hurling on the shell, dude, okay? Just waxed it.
So, Mr. Turtle.
Whoa, dude. Mr. Turtle is my father. Name's Crush.
Crush? Really? Okay, Crush. Listen, I need to get to the East Australian Current. EAC?
Oh, dude. You're riding it, dude. Check it out.
And we are back on Cinemajaw, me and Matt hanging out with each other via Skype. This is the world we live in right now, the times that we live in. But the jaw goes on, Matt K.
The jaw goes on. Yes, that's right. Absolutely.
We are keeping our distance from each other, but we keep recording.
You probably are loving this. You've been waiting to keep your distance from me.
Yeah, this has been pretty swell time right here. Again, abbreviated jaw. We can't do cinema war. We don't have a judge, so we decided to do some Hollywood headlines. And with all of this coronavirus going on, there's a lot going on in Hollywood. It has affected movies as we know it. There's delays, all kinds of things. Matt, what do we got in Hollywood headlines?
Okay, this one, Comcast NBC Universal moves to make current movies available in the home. There's a bunch here.
Yeah, they were talking about they're releasing, well, by the time this podcast is actually available to our listeners, it will already have happened, but The Invisible Man,
The Hunt,
Emma, and The Hunt will be available for $20 at home. So these were movies that were currently in the theater, and now they're available at home. One of the past guests that we've had on Cinemajaw, John Hammerly, we're friends with. I saw a tweet from him right when this had happened. It was the first I had saw of it. And his tweet said, once this genie comes out of the bottle, it's going to be tough to be put back in. And it's something that probably studios had sort of saw going in. Once you start releasing them to the home market, it may be tough to get it back to this. How do you feel about that?
Good. I tell you what, man, there's very, very little positive to find in the news right now. But I think that if this is a genie out of the bottle, good. It's about damn time. Movies are about the art, not about access. And if more people can get access to these films, then that means a bigger audience. More people are going to love the cinema like we do. I agree. The movie theater experience is very special and it should be cherished. Places like the Movie Box Theater here in Chicago have really taught me that. And currently, I can't imagine any one of us who wouldn't love to be in a theater full of healthy people once things settle down. You know what I mean? Like together again after all of this. So, but because of the situation we're in, it's a perfect example of how access to film is so important. I'm so glad that we have Netflix and Hulu and Amazon streaming and all of that stuff. Imagine if we didn't. So if this changes the market, fine, good. Let's get it changed already. Jumping off my soapbox.
No, it's a tough debate to have. I mean, there's no doubt that we've talked about it here many a times.
Since the beginning of the show.
Yeah, really. I mean, smaller films, there's no doubt, have such a great chance to reach a large audience via streaming and the home market that isn't available to everybody when it's in the theater. Do I want to see the movie theater experience go away? And that's the threat in the long term. If we all go to the idea that these are coming home, how many people then are going to venture out to the theater? And me being such a movie theater guy and loving the theater experience as much as I do, I never want to see that go away. So it's a fine line.
It's a fine line. But listen, you can still find vinyl record stores, right? In just about every major city and probably most large suburbs. Just because the format has been replaced and changed doesn't mean that aficionados can't still seek it out and find it with a relative degree of ease. You know?
True.
So
True.
I think that the fear is unwarranted. It won't kill movie theaters.
Yeah. Well, speaking of watching movies at home, what's our next Hollywood headline here, Matt K?
Netflix Party lets you watch movies with friends online, mixing an AOL chat room with streaming services. Right now we're all social distancing, but if you want to watch a movie with your friends, with your family who are stationed elsewhere, you can get this extension for Chrome, fire up your Netflix account and sort of stream it to your friends. You can chat in real time along with the movie and even talk to one another via voice. It's a pretty cool little extension.
So do you do this through the phone then? You have like a phone up while you're watching Netflix? Or say I'm doing this on Netflix on my TV. Uh-huh. How would that work? I'm a novice here.
No, so this would only... I haven't played with this one yet. So I've just read the article, but from what I understand, it's a Chrome extension. So this would only work for Netflix on a browser. So like if you're using it on your laptop, that's how it works. So no phone involved.
Interesting. I'd give it a shot. Maybe we should try it out, Matt K.
Hey, maybe we should. I'm down.
All right, let's end on some good news. And this from the Hollywood Reporter came out actually today as we record the podcast. Movie theaters in China, the world's second biggest box office market, are beginning to take steps to reopen. China's Film Bureau, working with China Film Group, has stepped in with a provisional plan to give theaters some additional screening options. It would distribute the prints of 5 previously released box office hits to any cinema that is interested in showing them, and government regulators have worked out a deal with the right holders to these 5 films to allow the cinemas to keep 100% of the revenue from all ticket sales. Obviously, typically, distributors and rights holders take home about half of the percentage of ticket sales, but in this case, full 100%. I think that's awesome.
That is awesome. That's awesome for a bunch of reasons. One, it sort of signals that things are starting to get back to normal in some parts of the world. And it's awesome that the creative community is supporting the business chain of the theaters by letting them keep all the revenue. So that is some good news, which I needed today, man.
Yeah, I agree. I think if they do the same thing here in the U.S., it's a good idea. Throw out some of those huge movies that we would like to go see, that people may have missed, that be excited to go see on the big screen again, and let the theaters just keep 100% of those ticket sales. Doesn't hurt anybody.
I agree 100%. Looking forward to that day.
That's all Hollywood headlines, Matt K.
All right. Is it time to stump Matt K?
Yeah. Now, this is a true story, JawHeads. We did not rehearse this at all, so we don't know how this segment is going to go. But what I did is I pulled out 3 questions, and they're questions that I don't think Matt K would know the answer to. They're difficult, that you would probably have to take like a guess at. And we'll see how he does. My guess is out of the 3 questions, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Matt's going to get one of them correct. I'm not positive on that, but I think Matt will get one of them correct. One of them deals with Pixar, one deals with Marvel, and one deals with Steven Spielberg.
So I guess the Marvel one is the one you think I might get correct.
I think that one's the most difficult, so we'll leave that one for last.
Okay, I'm holding my phone so you can tell that I'm not cheating. I'm not using. You'll see the reflection of you. Look at that, Ryan. Can you see yourself?
Hey, there I am. Yeah, that's amazing. Boy, do I look handsome.
So you can also tell that I have Skype on my full screen on my computer.
Okay, all right.
So I'm not using the internet.
Come on, I trust you.
All right. Then I'm going to put it down.
Stump the Kabinski, as Matt thinks these through. Play along at home. Here we go. Question number 1 here, Matt, is what is the highest grossing film Steven Spielberg has directed?
The highest grossing film Steven Spielberg has directed is probably like one of those.
He has made a lot of big ones.
Yes, he has. It's probably like Bridge of Spies or something that is counterintuitive, one you wouldn't imagine. I guess the one that's probably popping into my mind is E.T. I think that was just an absolute monster at the box office. So is this the highest grossing movie or the most expensive?
Yeah, highest grossing.
I'm going to go ahead and say, I'll go ahead and say the extraterrestrial, E.T. Oof.
That is incorrect, Matt K.
Was it Bridge of Spies?
No. I don't know. I don't even know if Bridge of Spies made the top 10. E.T. was number 2.
God
so
damn it.
You were close. Number 1, Jurassic Park.
Really?
The original Jurassic Park. It got re-released for a 3D, and with that, it became the only Steven Spielberg film to gross $1 billion in the global box office. E.T. somewhere around 700 or 800 million. So there you go. Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg. Question 2 on Stump Matt K is in honor of our Pixar month here, Matt. And the question is this. What is the longest Pixar film? We're talking the runtime of Pixar movies. What is the longest Pixar movie that they have created? I think you've seen just about every movie.
I have seen just about every movie, and I would say that it's not going to be one of the early ones because the technology of computer animation was new and it was difficult to render. These things took a long time, so the shorter the better at that time. So it's going to be one of the later Pixar movies. Oh man, I wish I had a list of Pixar movies in front of me. Definitely not Onward. I'll say Inside Out probably is the longest.
It's a strong guess, but the longest Pixar movie timed in at 117 minutes, so almost 2 hours long, was Cars.
Really? Huh. Well, it certainly felt like the longest one.
You like the original one, let's be honest.
I do.
Yeah.
I was forced to like it by my kids.
We left the last question, which is regarding the MCU. And it's this. And it's a tough one, but I think it's a great question to go over. And you got to think about this one long and hard, Matt K.
Okay.
The question is this. How many Oscar-winning actors and actresses have appeared in the MCU? Now, I've done the research, and I'm only counting people who won in acting categories. And I'll give you a hint. It's more than you think.
Yeah, I bet. Okay. Of the Avengers, of all the core Avengers, I don't believe Mark Ruffalo has won an Oscar. Scarlett Johansson, has she? I'm not sure. I know obviously Robert Downey Jr. has. He won for Chaplin, or didn't he? Jeez, but it's more than I think. Holy crap. It's all the villains like Hella, I'm blanking on her name right now. What's
I'll give you that one. Cate Blanchett.
Cate Blanchett, thank you. This is just a brain fart. Okay, so she's got one. Oh man, this is where I just gotta throw out a random number that seems ridiculous. I think it's let's see, Jeff Bridges was in Iron Man. He's an Oscar winner. There's two right there.
Yep.
It's probably almost all the villains. Benedict Cumberbatch, right? He's got one, hasn't he?
No.
Ugh. Oh, but Tilda Swinton does. So there's 3 right there. All right. I'm just gonna say 8.
Nice guess at 8. This is a true story. I came up with this question because I thought this would be fun to ask, and I didn't know the answer when I came up with the question. I wrote down 6, and I thought about it, and I came up with 6, and I went over it and over it in my head. I thought, okay, that's it. It's 6. So I finally went and I looked it up. Matt, there's been 16 Oscar-winning actors in the MCU.
Wow.
16.
Can you list them? You got the list in front of you?
Here you go. Kate Blanchett.
All right.
Jeff Bridges.
Yep.
Brie Larson.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Douglas.
Was in the MCU?
Anthony Hopkins.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael Douglas is in Ant-Man.
Oh, that's right. Duh. Yeah.
Yeah. Anthony Hopkins, who's in Thor.
Uh-huh.
William Hurt, who's in Hulk and Civil War.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones. He's also, I believe, in
Captain America: First Avenger.
Yes, the First Avenger. Ben Kingsley.
Oh, yeah.
Who's in Iron Man 3,
2.
I believe.
2 or 3,
there
yeah.
you go. Yeah. Lupita Nyong'o, who's in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Wow, yeah, duh. Yeah.
Natalie Portman.
Yeah. Wow.
Sam Rockwell.
Okay.
Tilda Swinton, who you mentioned. Marissa Tomei, who is in the Spider-Man series. Benicio del Toro.
Oh, my God.
The Collector. And Forrest Whitaker.
Wow.
16.
And you say
16 Oscar winners.
And you hate the MCU. See, it's quality. It's high quality.
I was stunned. And then we did not mention Robert Redford, who has a Oscar for Best Director, but also appears in the MCU. But 16 for acting. That's amazing.
That is amazing. Doesn't surprise me, Ryan. Although my guess at 8 was only half correct.
A good guess at that. Brings us to the end of a great Jaw. And first and foremost, Matt Kay, thank you for joining me via Skype.
Yeah. Oh, man, this was great. It made me feel a lot better. I'm actually looking forward to editing and, all the things, the trappings that go into producing this podcast. It'll keep me busy, Ryan. This was a lot of fun.
Yep. We also want to give a shout out just to the JawHeads. Stay safe out there. We're thinking of you. Hopefully this podcast gets your mind off everything. Like Matt says, a distraction for what's going on out there. Some simple pleasures out there. Let's watch some movies.
Indeed.
We also got to thank our sponsors.
Yeah, big thanks to our sponsors this week. Thanks to Overcast. Big thanks to Jiffy. And thanks to the Chicago Podcast Cooperative, who is continuing to get out resources for podcasters who are podcasting remotely like we are, Ryan. So thanks to all of them.
If you want to support Cinemajaw, leave us a review, guys, wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah, and while you're at it, do click subscribe. It's one extra button, and it helps us out a lot.
Until next week, I'm Ryan, the movie guy.
I'm Matt Kay, and keep on
John about the movies.
Let's try to do it in sync. Ready?
I'm Ryan, the movie guy.
I'm Matt Kay, and keep on John about the movies.
More time.
All right. This is going to be really hard.
All right.
I'm Matt Kay.
I'm Ryan. No, wait. Hold on. Ready?
Uh-huh.
I'm Ryan.
You froze. God damn it. Is it on my end? Actually, fuck it.
Until next week, I'm Ryan, the movie guy.
I'm Matt Kay.
And keep on John about the movies. I didn't know that was the director that played the turtle.
I didn't. Oh, I think I did hear that, but awesome. I forgot about it.
Yeah, I love that turtle, man. He's so good.
Yeah,
I watched that
dude.
Clip again. Yeah, it's so good.
He's good.